here we are in the bedroom. And I'm going to start by showing you a group of stretches that you can do before you even get out of bed in the morning, which personally, I love. So after hitting snooze on your alarm for either the first or, if you're me, second time, I'm going to show you a few stretches that you can do to really begin to wake up your entire body. All you're going to need is a pillow, which I'm going to show you, and a sock, which we're going to use probably for a modification if you're a little bit tight through the hip area later on. And I really want to make sure that you just kind of scoot into the middle of the bed to allow plenty of room for these stretches. So I'm going to start by doing a stretch that's really going to warm up your lower back, hips, and then I'm going to move into your adductor, inner thigh, and hamstrings. So this first stretch, I'm going to bring my leg in, holding on just below my knee. And for those of you who have kind of a tighter back, you may want to bend your knee. But for me, I'm actually going to leave it lower down. So I'm going to be pulling my knee in. I'm going to do some little joint rotation, hip mobilization through here, just to kind of warm it up, because especially if you've been asleep for hopefully 6, 7, or 8 hours, just want to start warming up this hip joint. And then I'm slowly going to let it drop to the side. Now this is where the pillow I mentioned comes in. So if you're tight through here, you may want to just rest your leg on the pillow. You can press it down a little bit, kind of get a little bit deeper stretch through here. But for those of you who are a little bit more flexible and don't need the pillow, you can just let your leg drop gently down to the side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of pressure here because I really want to open up my inner thigh adductor. I'm keeping this hip kind of a little bit rotated out. And then I'm gently going to bring it in. I'm going to lift it over and get a really nice kind of twist through my entire spine. You can stretch your arm out to get a little bit more stretch through your whole spine. And I'm going to bring it back up, over and down. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. I'm going to bring my right leg in. Some really nice joint mobilization through here. Circles, the other side. Always like to keep things balanced. And then I'm going to gently let my leg drop to the side. I'm a little bit tighter here. As you can see, my leg's not going as far. But I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure here because I want a little bit more of a stretch through here. And I'm going to bring it up, all the way over. This is my tighter side. I'm going to stretch out. Really a nice deep stretch through here. And then always assist because I don't want any sharp movements. Going to bring it back up and then down. So that stretch is really just kind of started to warm my hips up. And now I'm actually going into what we kind of cheaply call Happy Baby Pilates V. So it's kind of Happy Baby V is what we call. And I'm going to bring my leg in. And this time I'm going to put my arm through. I'm holding on to the bottom of my foot. So wherever you find comfortable, either here, here, or here. And I understand that sometimes this angle is a little too sharp for some people. I don't want you to feel a pinching in here. So if you have to hold on lower, that's perfectly fine. But just really try and get your leg at the right angle through here. And this is also when, which I've hidden away, your sock can come in handy, because if you're not that flexible or you've got some issues going on, which I have a little bit right now, you can always use the sock. So basically what I'm going to do now is gently let my hip roll over. I'm moving this hip with me because what I want you to feel is this hamstring muscle really kind of stretching out in a relaxed position. So my hips are rotating, don't worry about that. My hips are rotating over. Really stretching out. And you'll feel it. It's really nice just to wake up these hamstrings and they're not really straining, they're just relaxed. And then I'm going to bring it back in. Let go of my sock. Up and down. And the same thing in these positions. If you have got a tight lower back, you may want to bend this knee. And this side for me is a little bit tighter, so I'm going to bend this knee. I'm going to bring my hand in and up, making sure that it's kind of dropping down. I'm going to use my sock. Give me a little bit more extension through here. I'm going to let my leg drop over. And as I rotate over, my hips are coming with me. And I'm getting a really nice straight leg hamstring stretch. gonna hang out here for a few minutes. I'm gonna pull it back in, up, and then I'm dropping down. So right now I've really kind of opened up my lower body, hips, kind of getting into the hamstrings, and then I'm just gonna do both legs, bilateral stretch. So I'm gonna bring both hands in, holding my feet here, dropping them down, kind of rock a little bit, kind of feels good, it's kind of waking up that body. And then I'm gonna stretch. I'm not using my socks right now, but this is as far as I can go, because you can see my legs shake, your legs may be shaking too. Obviously I need to stretch a little bit more. Then I'm gonna bring them back in and down. That feels great. So these are a few stretches you can do in bed before you even get out. And now we're actually going to go and do another set of series where I'm actually sitting on the edge of the bed. So here we are at the edge of the bed. So we're gonna continue our stretches, which are gonna be focusing now more neck, shoulders, and moving into lower back and hips. So let's start with some really nice head rotations. So what you're gonna do is simply gently look all the way over your right shoulder, and then all the way slowly to your left shoulder. And I'm gonna repeat that motion, and you're gonna find when you're doing these rotations that one side is always tighter than the other. For me, it tends to be my right side. It's probably the way I sleep. But just gently feel. So for here, I'm like, okay, this side's a little bit tighter. So I'm actually gonna stay here just for a little bit, just kind of loosening up my neck, and then gonna bring it back into the center. And now I'm going to do some head tilts. And it's really important when you do these head tilts that you really focus on your chin being over your sternum, because if you go kind of off, you kind of lose the stretch. So you're really focusing on this, chin over sternum. So I'm gonna tilt my head to the right, not letting my little shoulder come up to my ear, because all of our shoulders love to live up by our ears. And then we're gonna come up, then I'm gonna tilt to the other side. And this is where you can see that my side's really tight. And then I'm gonna come back up. I'm gonna repeat that. And when you find one side that's tighter than the other, you really probably wanna do a couple more stretches, which I tend to do just to kind of balance it out. So I'm actually going to, that feels good. And come back up. And then back down again. And really kind of release that. So as I said, it's really important to make sure this chin stays over the sternum. And now I'm going to do some neck rolls, which is not head rolls, neck rolls. So what these are focusing on is I'm going to do my head tilt first, chin over sternum. And then I'm really going to roll my head forward and then back up. And it's very different than doing rotations, because you really are focusing more on these scalene muscles and trapezius when you're doing these ones. So tilted, rolling forward, and then to the side again. And chin back up, and then coming up to center. So now we're going to do the neck rolls. So I'm going to rotate over and do a really big sweeping motion down. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. Really big sweeping motion down. And you really feel that really gets into the trapezius and opens that up too. So now I'm going to move on into some shoulder rolls. And a lot of people will roll the shoulders forward, but the truth is, we're always forward, whether it's driving our car or at our desk. So I really want to focus on opening up the chest area. And a lot of our shoulders are always living up by our ears, so we really want to keep our shoulders down. So with this one, I'm actually going to exaggerate the movement. So I'm going to have my shoulders up first, and then as I'm rotating them backwards, really focusing on squeezing these scapulas together. And what I want you to feel is them coming in, and then I really want you to focus on putting imagine your right shoulder blade is fitting into your left back pocket, and then your left shoulder blade is fitting into your right back pocket. And there you'll kind of get the seating your scaps, as we call it, is a really good position. So really squeezing my shoulder blades together, rotating them down. Really a nice big circular motion, squeezing those scapulars together. And one more time, just really feels good, really kind of opening up that body. As I said, once again, really focusing on the position of your scapulars, because then you get this really nice, perfect posture. Now I'm going to go on and to do a nice side stretch. We're really going to focus on opening up through your whole body. So this is one of my favorite stretches, my little teapot stretch. So I'm going to scoot a little bit forward to the edge of the bed. And on this one, you're going to focus on your arm going straight up over, really elongating through your lats, through the serratus, which are the muscles that wrap around your rib cage here. So I'm pushing up, my palm up towards the ceiling. I'm reaching over. You can drop down on your forearm. Great stretch through here again. All the way over first, and then you want to reach through, really kind of stretching through that body. Really opening up through here. And bring it back up and through. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Another little teapot handle here. My palm is going up and forward, really elongating through here. I really want you to feel a great stretch. So you're pushing up, forward, reaching over. And then stretching forward, you can come down on your elbow to get an even greater stretch through. Reset a little bit and then come and swoop forward, and you really get a great upper body stretch. Then I'm going to bring it up, sweeping through and up and down. And you can repeat that, a couple of times on either side. But now we've woken up our upper body, so I'm going to do a little bit more on the lower. So I'm going to scoot a little bit further forward. So for those of you who are more comfortable being right here, that's fine. I'm going to put my forearms on my quads. If you just want to hang out here and get a nice kind of lower back stretch, which is great, but if you're comfortable, we can take it further forward onto the floor. So I'm going to put my hands between my feet. Just staying here for a minute, rocking. My feet a little bit further apart. I'm going to do a seated version of a triangle pose. So I'm going to reach my arm up and forward, really reaching up to the ceiling. Hello, ceiling. I'm going to reach up here. I'm going to come back down. I'm going to walk my hands to the other side. And some of you may be familiar with this in yoga. It's a version of triangle pose, but I'm just using the bed, which is a lot of what this series is all about, is using the space you have in your home. I'm going to come back down. And for those of you who want to just gently roll up from this position, just slowly come back up and on your forearms. But I'm going to also show you an alternative version. So I'm going to come back down, and if those of you who are here, I'm going to scoot my feet a little bit further back, put my palms forward, and we call this our bottoms up toe touch. So I'm going to come off, making sure my weight's evenly distributed, and I'm going to be pushing my hips up. So I'm going to be pushing my hips up and forward to the ceiling, straightening out my hamstrings as I slowly roll up. One vertebrae at a time to a standing position. So now we're going to do one of my favorite series, which is actually the standing edge of the bed series. And we're going to start with a really great psoas stretch. And what you're going to, the bed is a perfect height to do this. It's also nice and cushy too. So I'm going to put my leg up. I'm going to make sure I have a bend in my standing leg. And this leg is kind of positioned a little bit further back. I'm going to be on my forearms, and I'm going to be tucking my pelvis under, so get a great stretch through my psoas. So I'm gently going to be forearms straight, chest up. I'm slowly going to be bending this leg, really sinking deeply in, getting a great psoas stretch through here. If this feels a little too much for you, just come back out of it, tuck your pelvis, because this is a really deep stretch and you really are going to feel it immediately. So I'm going to have my arms straight. I'm going to slowly lower back down. And to get a deeper stretch, I'm actually going to turn into it, so really opening up that psoas. And then while I'm here, I can get a really nice little adductor stretch where I'm going to bring my knee forward a little bit. And then I'm going to be stretching out and down. And I get that this angle may be a lot for a lot of you, so for those who want a little bit more of a dynamic stretch, we can do this one here. I'm going to bring it back up, slide my leg back down, and then I'm going to be on the side. And this, if you can't do the other adductor stretch, this is a great one to do here too. It's just really opening this up area, getting a really nice stretch. And then while I'm in this position, I'm going to bring my foot forward to get a great hamstring stretch. So what is happening here, my chest is up, lifting forward, and it's really important in this hamstring stretch that you close the gap in this hip. A lot of people, when you kind of do a hamstring stretch, this hip will be wide open and you really kind of lose the stretch. And you can experiment a little bit. If you close your hips, rotate your hips forward, you'll immediately feel the stretch through here. So I'm going to be lifting up, my chest is forward. I'm going to slowly lower over. My hamstrings are tight today. You don't want to be scooping under. You want to be keeping your chest forward. You're just stretching further, maybe a little further. And if those of you who are really flexible can go lower. And you can flex or point your foot. Kind of feel that in these hamstrings as you're going through. Maybe a little bit further, but I'm always keeping my chest forward and my hips closed. It's one of the things I really want you to remember. And then it's just slowly coming back out. I'm going to rotate my leg to a really nice standing pigeon. So perfect position. As you can see, it's a really nice set to do right on the edge of your bed right here. This one I'm going to reach up, forward. Now, depending on how flexible you are, is going to depend on the angle of your leg, closer or further apart. For me, pretty comfortable about here. So I'm rotating my hips in. And for this one, you do want to collapse forward because you're really focusing on your piriformis muscle here. So I'm going to focus on pushing my hips back as I'm rounding over, feeling the stretch, really feeling the stretch through my IT band, piriformis, and glutes. For some of you, you can really come down lower, or even lower. That's about as far as I'm going to go. And I'm going to come back up. Going to reset for a minute. It feels so good. Bending over again, pushing my hips back, because pushing your hips back really gets the muscles we're really trying to target here. And then we're going to come back up, put my foot down, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. So now we're going to do the other leg. You have to keep yourself balanced. So same psoas stretch. Bring your leg up on your mattress. Scooting this leg forward a little bit. And you can really, for those of you who want to feel a little bit more stable and secure, kind of scoot your leg in a little bit more so you're using it for support. I'm going to have my arms straight. And I'm slowly lowering. Feeling that great stretch in my psoas. Coming back out for those of you who are a little bit tighter. Coming back down. Really making sure that I'm staying up and forward. And then I'm turning away. If I want to get a little bit more of a stretch in. Maybe a little bit more of a stretch in because I'm tight on this side. Then we're going to come back up. I'm going to sneak and get a little bit of a adductor stretch in here. So I'm going to be putting my leg out on the bed, feeling the stretch through here. Leaning to the side. And for those of you, I understand this is a little bit more of a dynamic range for some. So in which case, you can simply straighten your leg, tilt your pelvis under, and you can get a great adductor stretch through here. Now I'm going to swing my leg through into a hamstring stretch. So once again, really make sure that you rotate your hips through, getting that stretch in through here, feeling it in these hamstrings. We have 3 hamstring muscles going on, so really want to address all of them. Chest up. This time I'm going to flex my feet, chest up and forward, slowly leaning forward. Then come back out, chest up and lifted. Really feel those hamstring muscles right here. And then back up. And I'm going to turn it to my really nice standing pigeon stretch. Angle bent, booty back, leaning forward, pushing my hips back, really pushing them back. I'm tight through here. Gonna lean forward. And once again, just keep in mind the angle of which this leg's going to be further away or closer together, depending on how flexible you are, how tight you are through the hips. Lean forward one more time, pushing my hips back, really draping over that leg. And for the standing pigeon, I want you to drape forward. Then come back up, shoot my leg out, and there. We've woken up the entire body before you've even got out of your bedroom.